I hereby declare you duly sworn and appointed President of the Executive Council and Premier of British Columbia.
There you go, John Horgan and the NDP sworn in as Premier and the next government of British Columbia. The destroyers are inside the gates. Yesterday I told you about the NDP plan for a gender-balanced cabinet, and that came to fruition as you might expect. And while I'd love to spend all day telling you about each and every one of our new cabinet ministers, I'm going to spread out these videos exposing you to the real activists and destroyer paths of some of these far left-wing ideologues that have now taken power in Victoria, because we know the media party just won't do that. Ginny Sims is the new Citizens Services Minister, and she may be familiar to folks across the country, as she was an NDP MP from 2011 until she was soundly defeated by her Liberal opponent in 2015. During this time, Sims was not immune to controversial statements. Appearing on Power and Politics on CBC News Network on January 31, 2012 with then host Evan Solomon, Ginny Sims refused to rule out an NDP government negotiating with the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. After dancing around the question at first, Solomon pressed Sims to answer the question, would an NDP government work with Hamas? Sims responded, quote, "We would absolutely look at all options and diplomatic pressures to get a resolution that would suit both the states," unquote. I wish I could say I was surprised by this statement, but the NDP, outside of leader Thomas Mulcair, have always had this soft spot for Hamas and contempt for Israel. During her time in Ottawa, Sims also made ridiculous statements like this one during Childcare Week 2015 on how it's, quote, "real Canadian families that are calling for regulated childcare space," unquote. But for Sims, her role in British Columbia politics goes back even further. Sims was once president of the most radical union in the province, the BC Teachers Federation. Sims led illegal strikes back in September of 2005. It was the Labour Relations Board that ruled the job action was illegal, and later the BCTF was found in contempt of BC Supreme Court and ordered to pay a $500,000 fine and ordered not to pay any strike pay to teachers either. Michelle Mungle is the new Minister for Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources, and her history might just be a clue as to what our resource sector might look like under the NDP. And while she's no longer advising Rachel Notley, I guess BC better get used to seeing the ultimate destroyer, Sephora Berman, around. She seemed pretty excited at Mungle's appointment, and she should be. After all, Mungle used Berman's endorsement of the NDP energy plan during her campaign during an interview with ilovecreston.com, a local publication from the Kootenay region where Mungle is from. Quote, "The NDP's Clean Growth Action Plan, supported by climate action experts like Sephora Berman, will get the province back on track to meet our climate targets, stimulate innovation, create jobs, protect BC businesses, support rural communities, and use new carbon tax revenues to put more money back in the pockets of low and middle income families," unquote. Look, I'm not sure when Berman became any type of expert, but also, why on earth is Mungle, the minister for this portfolio, when she comes from a region of the province that actually participates very little in energy, mines, and petroleum? Ah, that's right, that gender-balanced cabinet thing. I've saved the best for last, or I guess it would be the worst for last. The new Minister for Environment and Climate Change is George Heyman. Heyman was a former director of the Sierra Club of BC, a far-left environmental group that radically opposes the oil sands and almost all resource development. And they do it all while taking large sums of money from their American paymasters. During his time as Sierra Club executive director from 2009 until he ran for the NDP in 2013, Heyman and the Sierra Club were recipients of over $380,000 of US-based money from groups such as the Wilberforce Foundation, the Bullitt Foundation, and oh, of course, the Tides Foundation. In particular, the grant from the Tides Foundation of $25,000 was to fight against the oil sands. So Heyman needs to answer questions about his radical activist past, especially when he took foreign money to try to collude and influence Canadian sovereignty over our natural resources with environmental activists. And as far as I know, not one journalist has ever brought this up with Heyman nor the NDP. So you can bet that when I get a chance to ask Heyman or Premier John Horgan about this, I will demand answers as to why these destroyers think it's okay to take money from foreign countries for their activist groups to oppose Canada's economic well-being. For the Rebel.media, and I'm just getting started with these new set of destroyers, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks for watching. I will keep you updated as to just who is in this cabinet full of destroyers in British Columbia, so never miss a video. Click subscribe to our Rebel Canada YouTube page.